Jacqueline with the Fable Tree here. This week we're working on some fun boho arch Christmas signs or holiday signs, I guess. You can put whatever you want on there. So we're going to start by making the boho arch backing sign or shape. So we'll start with the rectangle tool. I'm going to go ahead and just do a 4x4 inch rectangle, which is of course a square. Go ahead and remove that fill. So right now it's got a white fill. You want to come over to none so that it has a none fill instead. Okay, and then we're going to click on the rectangle tool, hold it and drag it over to Ellipse Tool and do the same thing here. You'll want a 4-inch circle. All right, drag that circle over here. You'll want it centered horizontally and then you want it to intersect right at the middle. Okay, so you want the top line of your square to be going directly through the midpoint of your circle. And if you click your circle, you'll see this little dot right there, and that can help you make sure that you are perfectly aligned. Okay, once your shapes are in the right spot, go ahead and select them both. I just clicked and dragged, but you can also do Command A on a Mac, Control A on a PC, and then come over to this Pathfinder panel and click Unite. If you don't have a Pathfinder panel here, come up to Window and open your Pathfinder panel that way. Okay, so now we have a really cute boho arch shape. You can certainly resize it if you want, but I'm going to make mine small to start with. I always like to test designs in small size and also photograph designs in a small size because they're easier to take pictures of. And it conserves material. So, I happened to get some really cute acrylic today that'll work really beautifully for the red and the green in my sign. So I'm pumped about it. All right, here we go. So you can come up with any design motif or decorative motif that you'd like on this. I'm going to use polka dots actually, which is a little more whimsical, but I like whimsical. So we'll start just by creating our text, and that way we know where to place the dots around it. And I'm going to do, let's see here, let's go all is bright. And I'm going to use Kindred font. I've been obsessed with that font recently, so I'm gonna, keep that going. And let's do like a 66 size just to get started, and we can adjust from there if necessary. So I'm doing all is bright on 2 separate lines. Oh, look, I love the glyphs on this. You can certainly, if there's something that you wish was fancier and it isn't, you can always go up to type glyphs and check out your different options. So maybe you want a fancier A for all. You can click and hold and see all of your A options. All right. One thing I love about this font is it's got so many lovely choices and options for your glyphs. Okay. So when you like your text selection, go ahead and separately right click and create outlines. Okay. And that is so that we can make sure that things are perfectly centered. So once you've done that, select both, come over to this align panel here and go horizontal align center. And you see that I was not even close to centered. I'm actually going to scooch it up a little bit too. All right. If you don't have that panel there, it's object align, and then you'll see horizontal align center there. Okay. Now, I am not keeping these all black, and I like to add colors that reflect my chosen materials just so that I can visualize things a little bit better, make sure it all looks really nice together. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and change the colors here. This is not relevant for your actual cut file, so you don't have to do this. But again, if you like to visualize things like I do, you'll want to go ahead and mock it up. So I'm going to click this and go to Object Ungroup, and that will separate each letter. And so now you can select the B by itself, etc. However, any glyphs that were used, like this RI together, are not going to ungroup. And even if you go to Object, again, you don't have the option to ungroup. And that's because this is technically one character, even though it's really 2. So to get around that, you can use your Direct Select tool, and you can just click and drag over the little one in this case. And you can then do some other stuff, but what I always like to do is copy it. So Command C on a Mac, Control C on a PC, or just edit copy. And then I just delete it and then go to edit, paste in place. And now it's just right back as a separate character. Oh wait, let me use my real select tool. Okay, and so it looks, because this R extends so long, it looks like it's selecting this one too, but it isn't. All right, so you can color those separately. We'll do the same thing here. So Object Ungroup, and then this L or this double L, I should say, is actually one thing. So repeat the process. Edit, paste in place. And unfortunately, this more complicated H is the same situation. So we're going to click and drag as much as we can without getting the T, any points on the T, and then select and come down underneath. I'm sorry, and hold down Shift, not select, hold down Shift and come get the rest of it. All right, and now it's all, it is all selected. So copy, delete, edit, paste in place, and now you're good to go. So I'm using 3 different colors for my lettering and 3 different colors for my dots. So I'm just going to use red, green, and white. And while we're at this, that white is not going to show up on this white background. So let's go ahead and fill in our wooden backing. And maybe you're using acrylic or something else, that's fine. But fill in your wooden backing so that you can see what all is going on. And I'm gonna put it on top of this so that we can, again, so we can visualize everything. Now I'll go ahead and change my A to white, my big one here to red, and then here to green. And I'm just going to go ahead and rotate through the colors. It bothers me when it doesn't rotate through properly. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate through and color each of these in. And I'll do white. Isn't it going to be cute? I'm excited about this. I also think that this would look really cute in different colors of pastel. And that's actually how I originally did this. And then I got that beautiful Christmassy acrylic from my Cerulean Tide subscription box today, and now I think this is going to be better. All right. Okay, cool. So I have my letters, and that's lovely. Now that they're colored the way that I want them to be, I'm going to select each one. So I'm just holding down Shift while I click each letter, and I'm just going to group them so that it's all one unit. So object and group. Okay, and now that allows us to select the backing and the letters and just make sure that they're centered properly. You can do on the vertical, you can do it wherever feels good to you. I like it about there, maybe a little lower. And you can start adding your decorative motifs now. So I'm going to add some dots. Let's try, do I like 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch? That might be nice. Yeah, I want a bunch of tiny dots all over. All right. And again, I'm going to be doing dots in all 3 colors, but we can just start with our reds. And I just copy and pasted a bunch of red dots. So Command C, Command V on a Mac, Control C, Control V on a PC, or of course that edit option as well. I'm just going to kind of space these out pretty far, and then we can go and do the same thing with green and white ones. Okay, so I'm making a new one. I'm choosing green. I'm not gonna stress out too much about my placement here. I want it to be fairly random looking. Let's actually recopy the green one so we don't have to change the color of each one. And just drag it around. Again, I'm not going to stress about this, and I hope you won't either. If you're a perfectionist like me, you might get really hung up in making sure everything is sort of perfectly spaced and everything looks really nice, but then you end up with, it just looks like a grid and it's not great. So try not to get too hung up on it. And maybe one more green, and then we'll fill in with a few white ones as well. Okay, so we're going to just copy another one, turn it white, and then copy that one and move these around. And I promise it's okay if there is a white one near a white one, or a red dot near a red letter. All of these things that if you're perfectionist like I am, it's gonna perhaps rub you the wrong way a bit, but it's actually just fine. Okay, so you play around with this until you like your placement of dots, and I will do the same. Okay, I'm going to call this done. I might actually tweak it a little bit more, but just because you don't need to sit here and watch me obsess over placement of dots, I want to show you what the next step would be. Okay. One easy thing you can do is just select the whole thing, copy and paste it. And that way we're working with an extra copy in case something happens to the first. So I prefer to select all of my white dots. Okay, actually, you know what we should do? Let's select our letters, object, ungroup, object, and just make sure. And then select something white and go up to select, same fill color. And that should select everything white. And you'll see it's getting this one too, so that's a little irritating, but that's fine. And we can just copy it, paste it, and then let's go ahead and switch the fill and stroke, and then assign a black stroke to it. Okay. And what that is going to do is allow us to cut it and instead of engraving it. I'm going to go ahead and just delete that half. So we obviously do not want to waste all this material in between, right? So I'm just going to scooch everything really close together. And in fact, I will then copy paste this onto its own document. Okay, and so that way I'm actually going to make a few different versions of these, and I think you should too, with different sayings. And I'm going to I'm going to put all of them on the same document and cut out all of my white pieces at the same time. I'm going to back it in 3M, so it's just peel and stick. And I just, I want to conserve my material, so I just want to scooch it all in. All right, and you're going to do the same thing with your red pieces and the same thing with your green pieces. And I think that's pretty good. Okay, and just so that you know what I'm doing next, come here, there you go. I'm even going to go ahead and save it, and I would call it, what did I do? All is bright. Not that it's typing. Okay, boho sign white pieces. And that way, I don't have to remember what colors I assigned to which things. I can just read the name of the file and print it on the right thing. Okay, so I'm using SVG 1.0, responsiveness off so it doesn't resize, and you're good to do your next ones. Okay, so repeat that process for the red and for the green. And then what I'm going to do is I want placement guides, because the last thing I want to do is cut all of this stuff out and then have to obsess over where to put my dots and my letters again. So I'm not doing it. I don't want to. I'm going to go ahead and just select all of this, assign a null fill, okay, a none fill. I'm going to, for now, assign a black stroke, and that way we can see where everything is. All right. I'm going to select all of this except, let's see here. What am I going to do? Then I'm going to hit Shift and unselect the outer part, okay? Because we do want to cut that backing, but we actually want to score everything else on here. So we are going to come right on in here and change it to a green line, which is how I indicate to myself that something is a score. But as long as it's a different color than your cut line, you're good to go, okay? And then what I'm going to do is, I could just do the same thing to select all of that again, but I'm just going to click one of the stroke lines, click select, same stroke color, and so that selects everything that has that stroke. And because we don't want our stroke lines to show, or our score lines to show behind our letters and our dots, we need to do a negative offset. So what that will do is it'll just make everything just a smidgy bit smaller. And then it'll be there to guide your placement, but it won't be visible on the final product. So to do that, you go to Object, Path, Offset Path. I usually like a negative 0.04, but I think that would be too big for this project. So let's try negative 0.03. And I have a preview checked so I can see what it'll look like. And I know that, yes, it will show me what I need. And so I'm going to hit OK. And then before I do anything else, I'm going to Command C on my Mac. You can Control C on your PC, and I'm going to delete it. And then I'm going to select same stroke color and delete all of that too. And then I'm going to edit, paste in place, and that way it gets rid of all of the bigger ones, all of the ones that don't have that negative offset, without me having to go in and individually click each thing. Isn't that nice? And so now what we have is an actual backing piece that the Glowforge will read as several scored circles a cut backing and scored placement lines for your text. And then in this file, you have all of your cut out letters and your cut out circles for your white pieces. And again, you're going to go ahead and repeat that same process for your red and your green. And so you should end up with 4 separate documents, okay? Your backing document, your white document, your red document, and your green document, okay? You can certainly play around with different motifs. Stars would be pretty here. You can engrave certain things instead of cutting them, anything that you'd like. These I think would be really cute little shelf setters. And as I mentioned, I'm going to do a couple of different versions with different wording. I'll probably do a let it snow and I don't know, maybe a ho 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 or something. I would love to see if you make your own version. So go ahead and share it with me on Instagram at the Fable Tree and let me know how you want to be credited so I can share it with all of my followers as well. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below in the comments and I will get back to you as soon as I can. The last thing I want to do before I wrap this up is, of course, put this on its own document. And so you can, do it the same way that we did there, or just delete this one over here and save this one. Okay? Because you don't need this for your Glowforge piece. All right, until next week.